says if I'd have known grandkids were going to be so much fun, I'd have had them first. And yet at the same time, we often say too, I'm glad I'm the grandparents and not the parent. So, because as we get older, we don't have the same, we don't look at life the same, we don't see things the same. I've noticed that most grandparents do one of two things. From their own children, the way they treat the grandkids, they do one of two things. They either are more strict and demand far more of the grandkids, or they go the opposite direction. And the poor parents, if they're good parents, are struggling what to do to counter what the grandparents are doing. Yeah. Okay? And, you know, I hear people say, well, grandparents are supposed to spoil the grandkids. Yeah. And, you know, I just go into high temperature when I hear that, because what are you saying? Are you thinking? Are you thinking? What did you do when your parents tried to spoil your children?
You pull them back.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, I just, to be clear, my interpretation of that is, it's called selfish grandparenting. It's, hey me, grandparenting. I need grandkids' attention. I need grandkids' approval. I need them to like me. And so I spoil them to get them to like me. Now, when you look at it from that perspective, is that Christian? It's not. You're working counter, not only to your grandkids, but to the parents, your children.
Approval, you're not working for love.
Exactly, exactly. But Crystal, the problem is so often is those two are confused as being the same. Mm-hmm. Approval is love, and it's not.
I don't have any grandchildren.
Yeah, so. God spared you from this dilemma. So the bottom line really with this is I look at it this way. As a grandparent, our duty is to assist our children in their new task of raising our grandchildren. When did we quit parenting?
We never quit.
Well, then if we didn't quit parenting, Crystal, then why would we be working against our children in their task? Yeah. Makes no sense, does it? So if we are still our children's parent, by the way, not their best friend.
Right.
Best friends are here, parents are here. Notice I didn't say here and here. They're equally important, but they are distinctly different. You know, which is better, male or female? Guys or girls, women or men? Which is better? It's a stupid question. Don't answer it. It's a stupid question. Doesn't deserve an answer. And so the thing is the same here. When a parent has a task to raise children and make adults out of them, as we've spoken of here before, then that parent's duty of helping those children grow up and mature and be what they should be in life never, ever stops until death do us part. Okay? So when your children have children, you're still to be there and help them now with this new phase of their life. And you're the only one of the three, grandchildren, parents, and grandparents, that has pre-experience. Because your children are parents for the first time. You're now the grandparent for the first time, but you know what it is to raise children. You have a little experience. You've made a few mistakes and learned from them. And you've done some things right and learned from those. So it just makes sense to not work counter to your children. You didn't want your parents doing that. So anyway, grandkids can be a lot of fun when we look at it in the right light. And of course, every stage, every age is different in how we approach them. But I look at it from the standpoint as a grandparent, if you can be just a loving, caring Christian, and this week's lesson speaks so much of what that really is about. If you exhibit that to the kids, that's probably the most important thing you can do. What does Ellen White say is the best thing a father can do for his children?
Love the mother.
Love the mother. That's exactly right. There is nothing that I can think of, nothing that I have seen, that is a better influence to the children than a husband, unconditional love to their mother. Now you think of the ramifications of that. It shows that he is the king. All love is originating from him. I mean, he's the powerhouse of love. He becomes then the stabilizing factor in all the relationships. He becomes that rock, because no matter what happens, he's unmoved. Loving the mother puts her on a pedestal, both of authority and to be appreciated. And so now the children have to respect her, because Daddy, the powerhouse, the stability of the family, respects her above himself. And it teaches them what to do. And how are they going to fight her? That makes her now an authority when Daddy's gone. She's in charge. Because guess who Daddy's going to side with when he comes home? And so it puts everything in perspective. When you take a look at what we've just spoken of, from the child's perspective, who is alone in the world except for mom and dad. Mom and dad is their security in every respect. When you take what we've just said about Daddy loving the mother, and now mother's love for them, and mother's authority, and mother's helping to them, if you remove the father, what's left?
Nothing.
Not much. Because now who is mother? Where is that person affirming her? If the child disagrees with her, there's nobody to agree with mother. And so the child can think, well, I'm as right as she is. And so it just disrupts everything. I don't pay one bit of attention to people that say a mother can raise the children just as well as a mother and father can.
Both parents.
It's absolutely essential. Absolutely essential. I'm not saying that there's never been a good kid come from a single parent home. That's not the point. We're not saying that. We're just saying that is not the ideal. So when you put all of this together, parenting, as we studied in one lesson, where does parenting begin?
In the very beginning, before the baby's even born.
Or does it begin when the parent is being parented? Well, they had to learn something somewhere, right? So it's an ongoing cycle that is to never end. So the only thing that starts new parenting is a child. The only thing that removes some parenting is when a grandparent or great-grandparent dies.
The only one that didn't have a parent really, so say, to raise children is Adam and Eve.
Mm-hmm.
They were grown, they never really had God.
But they were already adults.
They didn't
Yeah.
have a parent
Yeah.
like our children.
And so their children had to be raised from scratch. I'm going to use that term. You can make anything from scratch if you've got the right scratch. Right? So the children had to be raised, but Adam and Eve were created as adults. So to me, I don't know, going back to this thing of
It seemed like it would have been kind of hard for them to really raise a child. I know they had God. It would be kind of hard to raise a child. You didn't really have a child yourself wasn't a child yourself to raise.
It would be different, wouldn't it? It would be different.
Oh, you're right.
It'd be like having amnesia and then having a child to raise. You have no memory of being a child or anything. You're having to figure it all out from the start. But the bottom line is that God designed the family, the older part of the family, the pre-existing part of the family, for when a child comes along. He designed all of that part to be there with knowledge and information and skills to develop the new child. Now, last week, I believe it was, we talked about the phases of life, of growing. That's what we were saying, is that our spiritual life goes through the very same phases of development as our physical life does. There's a correlation between physical development and spiritual development. Just like you have the parents that have already been there and the grandparents that have been there longer, you have in the church people that have been Christians longer, and you have some that have been even longer.